and thanks for joining us. I am Vin Martin Obiora Ilo, very excited to be back on this program. Mwabez Njoku is not here today. Today on the Signature Show, we'll be looking at a number of issues. But first of all, in faraway United States, the troubles of Donald Trump is escalating with so many indictments, the latest being the one in Georgia. It's speculated that later this week he'll be surrendering himself to the authorities in Georgia. With all the permutations of the 2024 elections, we just sit and see how this will pan out. Back in Nigeria, everybody was so upset and so unhappy with the news of 33 soldiers being killed in an ambush by the insurgents in Niger State. Further, threw into our faces the unfinished business of addressing the challenges of insurgents in Nigeria. Well, from here we say our condolences to the Nigerian army, and we call on the authorities to do whatever they can to ensure that this kind of tragedy does not happen again. From Niger State, we go to Niger Republic. Well, more than 3 weeks after the coup in Niger, it doesn't look like there's a resolution. The soldiers in Niger are still intransigent. And of course, the ECOWAS is insisting that democracy should return. They are not alone. United States, United Nations, European Union, France and other countries are also joining their voices in saying that the soldiers should go back to the barracks and allow democracy to prevail. A lot of Nigerians are worried about Nigeria's leadership of ECOWAS and the insistence that if nothing is done to return democracy and release the president that has been in detention, that there might be war. A lot of Nigerians don't seem to agree that there should be war. Everybody's praying that a kind of resolution should take place. This passing week also, the defense ministers of ECOWAS met in Ghana to design a military response to the situation in Niger. We have a report.
The meeting by the ECOWAS Chiefs of Defense Staff in Accra, Ghana, is part of plans to assemble a standby force ready for onward deployment to Niger in case dialogue fails. The meeting had in attendance high-ranking military officials from West African states opposed to the military takeover in neighboring Niger.
Mali, who has a flag there, is not present. Guinea is not present. Niger is not present. And Burkina Faso is not present. These are the countries I mentioned where under sanctions and have been suspended. That is the reason they are not present. Of course.
This is the second time in the space of about 2 weeks that the Committee of Chiefs of Defense Staff of ECOWAS are meeting. The first was from the 2nd to the 4th of August to start a planning exercise for the potential deployment of the ECOWAS standby force to restore democracy, to restore constitutional order in the sister republic of Niger, should all other means fail.
Despite diplomatic efforts by the ECOWAS, the situation in Niger remains tense, and there are fears this may escalate into a full-blown regional crisis.
Let no one be in doubt that if everything else fails, the valiant forces of West Africa, both the military and the civilian components, are ready to answer to the call of duty.
After today and tomorrow's meeting, you will put in place a plan to ensure that the standby force is activated and that democracy will be restored in Niger.
While many political and security experts are raising concerns on the impact of a military action in Niger and the economic implications to the region, questions remain on how the community will fund the military operation if there is need for an escalation.
We are going into Niger with our own contingent-owned equipment. We are going with our own resources and to make sure that we restore constitutional order. By all means available, constitutional order will be restored in the country.
The meeting is open to finalize plans for a full-scale development in case a peaceful resolution to the crisis is not achieved in the nearest future. In Abuja, Nasir Usman for Signature Show.
And finally, in this past week, the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has given portfolios to those appointed and cleared as ministers by the National Assembly. Of course, Wike, the very controversial Wike, is going to the FCT. And the indigenous people of the FCT are already kicking. I think they wished that one of them would, for the first time in our history, would have been the minister of the Federal Capital Territory. That didn't happen. But we saw a number of people given portfolios, and it means that a lot of the speculations that had greeted the appointment of the ministers didn't quite come the way it was. It was rumored. Some people, I mean, for instance, one would have wondered how the man that now has the Ministry of Solid Mineral, how he could have ended up there. Everybody had thought he was going to be the Minister for Information. I'm talking about Dele Alake, for instance. We all thought he was going to be Minister for Information, but he ended up in the Solid Minerals Ministry. So let's just go through those ministers and the portfolios they got. First of all, we start with the Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy. We have Bosun Tijani, Minister of State Environment and Ecological Management, Ishak Salako. Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edu. That was predicted, so that prediction came true. Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Bumi Tunji. I think this is a new ministry. And then Minister of Power, Adedayo Adelabu. And this one is very controversial because everyone had said that El Rufai was coming into the cabinet and he was going to handle the power ministry. And of course, we all heard the rumors that he had had conversations with the president. It was given he would turn around the Ministry of Power. But here we see Adedayo Adelabu getting that portfolio. Minister of State Health and Social Welfare, Tunisia Alausa. Minister of Solid Minerals Development, like we said, Dele Alake. Minister of Tourism, Lola Adejon. Minister of Transportation, Adegboyega Oyetola. Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Doris Anite. Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Uche Naji. Minister of State Labor and Employment, Nkiruka Onyejocha. Minister of Women Affairs, Uju Kennedy. Minister of Works, David Umahi, former governor of Ebonyi State. Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo. Yes, Festus was Minister of State Labor in the old administration. He has been promoted. He's now Minister of Aviation. Some people also rumored that probably he was going to be the Attorney General, but I think the President feels more comfortable putting him in the Aviation Ministry. And then we move on. Minister of Federal Capital Territory, Yesom Wike. Minister of Art, Culture and the Creative Economy, Hanatu Musawa, Minister of Youth Abubakar Momo, Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, we have Betta Edu, the former APC woman leader. And we have Minister of Defense Mohammed Badaru, Minister of State Defense Bello Matawale, Minister of State Education Yusuf T. Sunumu, Minister of Housing and Urban Development Ahmed M. Dangiwa, Minister of State Housing and Urban Development Abdullah T. Gwazo, Minister of Budget and Economic Planning Atiku Bagudu, Minister of State Federal Capital Territory Meiriga Mahmoud, Minister of State Water Resources and Sanitation Bello M. Goronyo, Minister of Agriculture and Food Security Abubakar Kia, Minister of Education Tahir Maman, Minister of Interior Seidu A. Alkali, Minister of Foreign Affairs Yusuf M. Tuga, Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare Ali Pate, Minister of Police Affairs Ibrahim Gaidam, Minister of State Steel Development U. Megari Ahmadu, Minister of Steel Development Shuaibu A. Audu, Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris, Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Latif Fagbemi, Minister of Labor and Employment Simon B. Lalong, Minister of State Police Affairs Iman Suleiman Ibrahim, Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs Zephaniah Gisalo, Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation Joseph Utsev, Minister of State Agriculture and Food Security Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, and Minister of Environment and Ecological Management. This is a new one. Nobody is there. They said it belongs to Kaduna. So a lot of Nigerians have argued in the social media, so how do you give this position to someone you don't even know who he is, his background or whatever? But you know, this is Nigeria. Sometimes they say anything happens. Well, this has put paid to a lot of speculations, and I think it's time for the government to zoom off, and we all assume and believe that the government will hit the ground running. Today on our show, we are focusing on corruption, as some of my friends say, corruption in high places. Well, in our studio today, we have this lawyer who is shouting and complaining that laws have been broken. Barrister Francis Mbo, you're welcome.
It's a pleasure being with you today.
Francis is also appearing on the program today with his lawyer, Barrister Donald Ariko.
It's my pleasure.
Gentlemen, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Well, let me start with you, Barrister Francis Mbo. You have written to Mr. President.
Yes.
Can you summarize for me what actually you're asking Mr. President to do?
I'm asking Mr. President, as a matter of fact, to look at some of this corruption in high places, particularly where public officers use their own position to confer certain advantages, unfair advantages to themselves, either through their front men, using front companies to flee away Nigerian police assets and funds. And these things have been going on over the years. And nobody seems to speak about it. But the Nigerian police officers who are there risking their life for the average Nigerian citizen are going through pains and suffering, because most of them do not even have accommodation in Abuja, or in most places where you ask them to go for an assignment. If you go to a police station to ask them to do a case for you, they will ask you for money. These are the things we see in our practice. And all these things boil down to the aspect of the fact that welfare, proper welfares are not given to police officers. Their money in their police cooperatives are being stolen by management staff of the Nigerian police force, being given to private developers who ought to come with their own money, if indeed they actually have anything they are doing with the police. But in this instance, This money has just been taken with no collateral, no even plans to refund the money back to the police cooperative.
Okay, just before you go ahead, you talked about corruption in high places. Why did you choose to push forward this particular one that concerns the police?
One, I'm a victim of this well-orchestrated and organized scam because I made investment into some of these things, saying the use of the police logo without any empirical approval, being given to a company, a 1 million naira share capital company, to go about taking police properties wherever I can find them, using the same money from obtained from the Nigerian Police Cooperative and from Nigerian Police Mortgage Bank PLC without any adequate collateral. And these things have been going on. These same categories of persons have different companies with different names. Now, without compliance with the Procurement Act.
We'll go to the details of that, but you came with your lawyer. Yes. So what constitutional right does Barrister Francis Mbo have to write to the President, write to EFCC, write to other authorities, and even go to court?
The Nigeria Constitution is very clear. Even though if he's acting as a lawyer to somebody and he discovered that this person is indulged in a fraudulent act, the Constitution gives him the authority to expose such person. And as a legal practitioner, the rule of professional conduct also guide my practice. Give him the authority to expose anybody. And apart from that, he is a Nigerian who is also a taxpayer. He pays his tax as and when due every year. And the police property is procured through the taxes that an average Nigerian pays. So he has the power to challenge that the police property, the property of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is being protected.
To be more specific, if you look at chapter 2, section 24 of the 999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it is very, very clear. It's part of my civic responsibility as a Nigerian citizen to report to any relevant authority of a complaint regarding to any unlawful acts, abuse of office and things like that, which is what I've just exercised, reporting this matter to the police, reporting this matter to the EFCC, reporting this matter to the Mr. President. And I think I should be applauded for this, not to be molested by the police.
Let's take it one after the other. In your letter to Mr. President, you accused a Nigerian company of colluding with some individuals in the Nigeria police force in converting property designated, purposed for residential police barracks, and they are repurposing it without going through due process for estates, for police officers and the general public, and making profit and not remitting such profit to the police. Can you substantiate your accusations?
You see, under the law, when it comes to FCT Abuja, being specific, Section 4 of the approved guidelines for sales of federal government houses in FCT Abuja clearly states that certain properties are supposed to be exempted from the sales program. The FCDA are aware of this law. They are even implementing it. Now, certain properties include police barracks, military barracks, and other paramilitary barracks are not supposed to be sold for constitutional, statutory, and administrative reasons.
But the property you're talking about is designated for barracks. It's not a barracks yet.
No, it's designated. The purpose for giving that allocation to the Nigerian police force is designated for residential police barracks. The police get budgets annual budget from the National Assembly. And these budgets are, what is it meant for? Beside operation, it should also be used to prepare something for the welfare of the police officers, which the Ministry of Police Affairs must ensure that these things are done. But in this instance, governments have already gone ahead because Abuja, as is designated, the Federal Capital Territory, ought to be reserved. It's a police state. Where the seat of government is usually police state. If you look at the police force headquarters, you see the Nigerian Police Office, head office, seated side by side with the Federal Fire Service. If you look at the first CID at Area 10, you see it seated side by side with the Federal Fire Service. If you look at even Mbora, the Nigerian Police Residential Barracks at Mbora, that was ceded to a company called Corporan International Limited, is a designated residential police barracks, because the fire service is just next to it, and these properties are now being made luxury homes where they are being sold to the general public, contrary to that approved guidelines for sale of government properties in the FCT. And also, if you want to sell properties, public properties, the Procurement Act guides you on how to do these sales. You don't just walk in and make a sale or just bring in any group of individuals without any pre-qualification background as regards to whether they are seized in terms of constructions or whether the directors there are seasoned engineers that can as well develop these properties for the purpose of police barracks. Then, if you are also coming to the Procurement Act, you have to also look at the contractors that you are going to appoint. Did you advertise for these people to throw in, to bring in their tenders? Are they coming with any personal funds of their own? These are all issues. And what are their background? What is their qualification? What are their background? But in a situation where a public officer just sits at the comfort of the office and allows somebody to just walk in without any due process, have access to police land, claim he's building barracks, meanwhile he's using the police, in quotes, to defraud unsuspecting Nigerians, including myself, from our hard-earned money. And not only that, even using the instrumentality of the police to intimidate, harass, and threaten my life and that of my lawyer.
It's not hard to allege, but it's very difficult to prove. You and your client, what evidence do you have for this allegation you're making against the police and a private company?
We have overwhelming evidence to prove our case, and wherever we present our case or petition, we also support it with the evidence. Take, for instance, in respect of this case, we have documents to show that the particular plot was assigned to the Nigerian Police Force for the purpose of residential barracks, not police barrack, not for estate, and not for any other purpose. And here in FCT in particular, I have so much respect for FCDA. Nobody can change that purpose. But in this case, we don't know how he got the approval and started building estates for the businesses which the money he derived from that estate was not also paid into the police coffer. It goes to his private pocket, and we don't know how it is used. And apart from that, we also have evidence how this same company borrowed money without collateral or adequate collateral from Police Mortgage Bank and Police Cooperative. And no evidence of this money is being paid back. And we also have evidence how the company is a 1 million share capital.
And they got a power of attorney.
And the evidence of the power of attorney between the police and himself. And the police says that they have handed over the property absolutely to him without consideration. All the documents are annexed to our petition to Mr. President and to me.
I've seen some of the documents, but Barrister Mbo, would you take us through what you are alleging that happened from beginning to finish?
Okay.
So that we can ask specific questions about some of the allegations you're making, because they are very weighty allegations.
In the year 2015, Copran International Limited wrote a letter to the Nigerian Police Mortgage Bank PLC demanding and requesting for a loan approval to them for the company. Now, the company, contrary or in breach of the provision of Section 15 of the Failed Bank and Recovery of Debt and Financial Malpractices Banks Act, did not inquire from Copran what collateral Copran is bringing to the table. And where you fail to do that, or you negligently go ahead and issue out facilities to such person, is an offense. It's a criminal offense. And it cannot be something that should be swept on the carpet. Nevertheless, Copran, the promoters of Copran, as far back as 24th of July 2018, the banks were now asking for their money. Copran could not pay the money. What Copran instead did, in collusion with the bank, was to start seeing how they can use the Nigerian police land at Mbora to serve as a collateral. Why the same Copran International Limited is telling them to go and sell the Nigerian Police Mortgage Bank, should go and sell those houses that were built by independent contractors, not even Copran, to go and sell them. Because this house have been built, is now residential police barracks, but to go and sell them and recover their loan, which is against the law. So the bank, the Nigerian Police Mortgage Bank, was also involved in the illegality.
Okay, wait. The property in question, yes. I know that if you're building a house and you take a loan from the bank, yes, sometimes part of the comfort is that if the loan goes bad, yes, the bank can take your property, yes, and sell.
Yes.
So that's what may have transpired here?
No, not the police property, because the police property cannot be sold. That residential police barracks cannot be sold. But they can take Copran's own independent property, not the Nigerian police property. But, like I said...
But are you claiming that,
yes,
the police property,
yes,
was being used as collateral?
Yes.
For a loan being taken
by Copran International Limited and not by the Nigerian Police Force.
Were they so empowered through maybe a power of attorney or through an agreement or what have you?
The power of attorney that Copran is parading is defective. Defective in the sense
How do you mean?
In the sense that, one, no consideration was furnished for that power of attorney. That power of attorney was an afterthought. It was also done on the 8th of October 2018, after this loan had been taken.
And after they had taken possession of the land?
Yes.
So, what did they use to take possession of the land?
What they used to take possession of the land, like I said, Copran parades certain documents, which one of his business associates by name, Kalu, claimed in an affidavit before the court that those documents are forged documents. And these documents, this statement on oath by Kalu, his Copran's associates, is even before the court, is even before the police, within the knowledge of the police. And the police just kept quiet about it. Such serious offenses or such serious allegations are not allegations that the police can sweep under the carpet. They are allegations that police ought to look into it. Because the first line of democracy is if our police is working and our courts are working well. I mean, all this issue of banditry, insurgencies, and so on and so forth will not be in existence.
Let's go back to the details of your accusation. You said that the power of attorney given by the Nigeria police, yes, to Copran, yes, is defective. Yes. What makes it defective?
One, is not registered. It's not registered with ages.
Under the land instrument registration.
Yes, as at the time he took those loans. Two, There's no seal or
Are you
stamp of any
saying
lawyer.
that the power of attorney was retroactive?
Well, it was something that, was, like I said, is an afterthought. It was not in existence as at the time of these transactions with the bank. Because if those documents were actually in existence, the bank would not write a letter to Copran on the 24th of July 2018 demanding...
That's 3 years after
yes,
the loans
yes,
were disbursed.
Yes, now demanding for their loan, reminding him of the loan they gave him on the 16th of September 2015 and in 2016 and 2017, demanding for their loan. They didn't write to the Nigerian Police Force. They wrote to Copran International Limited, which means it was Copran who actually approached the bank to take a facility. But on the 8th of October 2018, Copran and some of his bank and police officers' friends did an abracadabra by producing a power of attorney, not an irrevocable power of attorney this time, it's just a power of attorney, that the police have ceded exclusive rights to the land belonging to the Nigerian Police Force, which cannot be ceded exclusively to an individual for constitutional, statutory, and administrative reasons.
Without any consideration.
When you say without any consideration, are you saying that Copran did not pay anything to the Nigeria police?
If he paid,
or that from the power of attorney, that when monies are made from the sale of this property, that no money will go to the Nigeria police?
Yeah, the terms
of the power of attorney clearly stated that the police handed over the property to Copran to have absolute control. And in that power of attorney, there is a clause that says that with a consideration of 1 naira or 20 naira, or that after building, after selling, that certain amount should be remitted to the Police General Fund in accordance with Section 26 of the Police Act 2020.
Do you have any evidence that shows that since 2015, when Copran took over this property, that no monies have been paid to the Nigeria police? Do you have any evidence?
Let me even add to this. Let me just add to this.
All right.
In fact, it will surprise you that Copran was even collecting money again from the Nigerian Police Cooperative. Collected over the sum of 330 million naira between 2021, roughly 2021. He collected over the sum of 330 million naira. And this money were diverted because this money was supposed to be put into the estate construction. Now, Copran International Limited is not a member of the Nigerian Police Force. Copran International Limited is not a company registered by the Nigerian Police Force. Copran International Limited is a company registered by Andy Chime and Vivian Chime. It's a family business. Police does not have a share in Copran International Limited.
So who guaranteed the loan? Because
that is where the corruption is.
One of the documents that we saw before this program.
That's the document they wrote on the 4th of December 2015.
No, I can't remember when it was written, but one of those documents was a letter from the police bank, the police mortgage bank, to the Deputy Inspector General of Police, asking for a kind of collateral for the money that was taken by Copran.
That letter.
And asking, quoting in that document that I saw, that the police had given them a letter of comfort.
No. Listen, that letter that you saw was written on the 4th of December 2015. That letter was an afterthought. Loan have already about 244 million naira or thereabout has already been released to Copran as at 16th of September 2015.
But does the police have a right to give a letter of comfort?
They don't.
For someone who was handling a contract for them?
They don't. They don't. That is the corruption. And if you look at the provision of Section 19 of the ICPC Act, it clearly states that where a public officer uses his office or his position to confer an unfair advantage to himself and to members of his family, associates, or fellow public officers, that is a corrupt act. It's corruption. It's clear corruption. So if such things exist, the police have a lot to answer to us, because police in the first place do not have right to sell residential police barracks to any individual whatsoever, and precisely to a 1 million share capital company. Now, if a property situated somewhere in Umbura or Guzape, running into acres, such properties, me and you know, even 700 square meter, you should be talking about selling it for like 40 million naira or thereabout, because of the position or location where the property is. But this one, we're talking about properties in acres belonging to every serving officers of the Nigerian police force, not retired, serving, who are still in active service, laying their life for us, Nigerians. And just somebody, because you feel you're holding certain position, you can now confide to your business associates without complying with the compliance with the Procurement Act. I mean, this is the height of corruption. This is an abuse to an average police officer who is out there, because they can speak. If they speak, it will be considered or perceived that they've gone foul of the law. But some of us who are close to the police, some of us who pay our tax, some of us who want the Nigerian police to work, some of us who want the Nigerian police to carry out their duty with fear of God, believe that police can only get better when their welfares are taken care of. When Nigerians start speaking about this, their welfare.
Let's go back to the details.
Let me just make a little addition and clarification.
Yes.
The loan was taken in two banks. First was Police Mortgage Bank. I have his head office at Port Said Street at Zone 4.
And that's the one you're saying they took without collateral.
Without adequate collateral.
And secondly, Police Cooperative Bank, where all the policemen in Nigeria deduct certain amount of money from them. And if you are not a member of a cooperative, you don't have any power or access to apply for any access such fund. But Corporam is not a member of the cooperative, and he have access to certain amount of money. And
so who could have authorized 300 million?
330 million.
330 million to be given to a private company from the cooperative bank of the police.
That is the corruption within the police circle. Among some of their personnel, I can't say it's all the police members, but few that are not up to 1% because of certain position that they are.
They are fine.
And that is where they have the question. The management of the two banks, that is the police mortgage bank and the police cooperative bank, must answer. And that's why we feel that police as an institution cannot investigate itself. We feel that president should come in by setting up a committee or direct the ESS or ICPC or EFCC to investigate.
2018.
We have overwhelming
The
facts.
document is there. You can go to CAC yourself. You will verify.
In Nigeria,
That's why it's called
Nigeria
public
police
domain.
to cover their property.
In fact, in
if
addition
somebody
also,
like you, who is a
this same
journalist, go to
category of
CAC,
individuals
they will show you about the
are moving with
picture or the means
police
of ID
plated numbers.
that Ali
NPF.
Baba was used.
They are moving with siren.
Anyway, we're not. Let's concern ourselves with the topic we are looking at.
Yes.
I think that would be a program for another day.
Yes.
Let's go back to some of these details, some of this allegation.
Yes.
But before we do that, I thought that when some personnel of the police had been fingered
Yes.
in this, that the first place for you to direct your allegation or your complaint is first to the police authorities.
Yes.
Maybe the police IG or the Minister of Police Affairs. Why did you jump straight to Mr. President and EFCC? Or do you have an agenda?
No. You see, the president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. Okay. Being the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, both the police, the military, whatever, they are under the Nigerian.
But did you make any effort to bring this to the knowledge of the Nigerian police?
Yes, but most of those efforts were blocked because, like I said, most of these your IGPs are immersed in this rubbish.
So, who did you take it to?
I took it to. We wrote to Alkali Baba.
And the
We wrote to Alkali Baba. We wrote to Alkali Baba a letter in 2023, to which I actually went to court as a public litigation suit, directing the Inspector of Police to place a hold, a litigation caveat, on some of these properties. But to my utmost shock, the IG never treated it. He received my letter quite well, but never treated it. And I'm not surprised that even the present Inspector of Police...
Do you have evidence that the IG received this letter?
Yes, I do. I do.
There was an acknowledgement.
Yes, I wrote it and I even attentioned it to Alkali Baba, the Inspector of Police.
And nothing happened?
Nothing happened. And that's why I'm not surprised he's occupying the IGP's house, as if it's his personal private property.
I don't understand.
I'm being honest with you. The President Inspector of Police can come and attest to that fact. Whether he's as Inspector of Police, he's being accommodated in the IG's house in Metama. Where are my DIGs staying? All the DIGs of the Nigerian Police Force are staying somewhere else. But meanwhile, their house that is allocated for them at Metama was just handed over to a company called Cross Group.
To do what?
Limited. Whether to renovate or to do what? Without procurement. Without
Police procurement. These are allegations. You should know what they are doing with the property. Is it that the property has been sold to individuals, or that the police is trying to renovate them or rebuild them, or what have you?
Well, they claim the property is being renovated. That is the claim.
Yes.
But even if the property is being
renovated
in line with the Police Act, before you appoint contractors to embark on that renovation or whatever, the Nigerian police have a tender board.
Are you saying that procurement didn't go through the tenders board?
It didn't go. It didn't go through the tenders board.
Any evidence to that?
It's there, even online. It's there. You can Google it. It's there.
Throughout the period of Alkali Baba, it did not constitute a police tender board. There was no tender board. Whatever happened is that anything he likes or anything anybody likes, they do without reference to any law. And that's why some of us, we are bringing this very particular petition to Mr. President, that this country is a country that is guarded with the rule of law. It's not a land of jungle where you have a privileged position today, you do whatever you like. And go, you must do in accordance with the provision of the laid down law that guide that particular institution. You can ask any police officer, you can go to the force headquarters and ask the DIG works. During the period of Alkali Baba, there was no tender board. The PPP is saying.
What is PPP?
PPP is a private and public partnership.
Okay. Is that what they are using for the...
That was what he used for the company called Congrove. Congrove is a private developing company owned by one person called Umar Abdullahi.
Is it Cosgrove or Congrove?
Cosgrove.
Okay.
Cosgrove. And to our surprise in 2018, when we conduct a search in CAC, we discovered that one Kali Baba, that is a question that CAC must answer to provide the means of ID of that Kali Baba.
Who was made a director.
Who was made a director.
He was not originally a director?
Yes. No, he was not originally a director.
At what point was he made a director?
2018.
In 2018. The document is there. You can go to CAC yourself. You will verify. That's why it's called public domain. And if somebody like you who is a journalist go to CAC, they will show you about the picture or the means of ID that Kali Baba was used.
You sent a petition to the FCC.
Yes.
You sent a petition to Mr. President.
Yes.
And you claim that these petitions were acknowledged.
Yes.
Has something been done? Something been done?
No. Till date, nothing has been done. In fact, This is the petition I wrote to the Economic and Financial Crime Commission. You can see it. It was duly received by them on the 26th of July 2023. This is the letter, the petition we equally wrote to Mr. President. You can see it was duly received in the villa on the 25th of July 2023. Then, as if that is not enough, my life, like I said, is now in jeopardy. I'm being trailed, I'm being threatened, both on phone call, I'm being arrested, detained, I'm being subjected to all manners of demonizing practices because of what? I made complaint, trying to save my country and to save my police, members of the Nigerian police force, who are victims of all this scandalous.
When you said you're being intimidated, arrested, who arrested you?
The Nigerian police force arrested me. The Nigerian police arrested me based on the information given to them by one Andy Chime, that myself, Barrister Donald Dariko, and one Kalu Okalu, who is his former sales representative, according to what he said in the petition, break into his office in the year 2018 to steal documents that we used in court. And
the documents you attached to the letter you wrote to Mr. President?
Yes, the document. As a matter of fact, these are documents we used in court. That is to say, even the tabulation of facts, where we stated how this man took money from Nigerian Police Cooperative Society till 2021, were also stolen. Meaning I stole his bank statements, do you understand, in 2018, and facts that are contained in my processes in court, as far back as 2021, tabulating the money he took from the police cooperatives. Meaning, I stole it. I stole all these documents. And the police never even conducted what is called a preliminary investigation. When somebody make an allegation of that nature, the people involved, you are talking about that were involved in such crime, according to what the police said, you ought to have gone to the police where he said he made complaint to actually check whether this man actually deposed an affidavit of certain documents that are missing. Not to tell me to come to the police, tell my lawyer to come to the police, and you force a statement on us without even specifying the particular document that is missing. I mean, that is the worst thing you can do to somebody.
Not
it's a setup.
Statement. I was arrested on the 27th when I accompanied my client to report based on the invitation. I was not invited.
You accompanied him?
Yes, I accompanied him.
And you were arrested?
On their invitation.
And you were arrested?
And I was arrested, detained, and subjected to write statement under caution. After several hours, I had to make contact before one of my colleagues came there to rescue me. In fact, they even refused that my colleagues will not take me on bail simply because he has no means of ID. He has to go and get a means of ID. Another colleague got a means of ID.
We had to write to the office of the Inspector of Police demanding for a bail. That same day, we had to write to the office of the Inspector of Police. And on the 8th of August, we were equally arrested again. Do you know, even on the letter of invitation that they gave, the police served on us. The letter of invitation, this letter of invitation, dated 26th of July 2023, is a threat to my life. This is criminal intimidation, trying to silence me from exposing the riots that has taken place in the
Are you suggesting that the Nigerian police, that they lack the right to invite you for an interview? Because your letter indicated that you're being invited for an interview.
Yes. The letter states that I'm being invited for an interview.
Yeah. If you're talking about being arrested, I could understand that, but I don't think that the Nigerian police did anything wrong by inviting you for an interview.
No, they did so many things wrong. One, they never invited me with any letter. They only called me on phone. A strange caller called me on phone, asking me that...
No, but here is a letter now.
No, this letter came much later, when he intervened.
Your lawyer intervened?
Yes, my lawyer intervened. My lawyer said, no, it's quite unconventional for you to tell my client to come to your office without a letter of invitation. At least we, under the law, you owe us a duty to at least notify us of what offense or whatever you are looking for us for.
Okay.
The man said that, well, they just needed me for a friendly chat. And since I'm their friend, doing cases for them, that they needed me for a friendly chat. That was it. So on getting there,
You were arrested?
I was arrested because
okay.
I came there and
okay.
told them this matter that they're asking me to comment upon is already being investigated by the police and it's before the court.
It's okay. It's okay. I want us to go back to some of the documents that you have shown us. There was a tabulation, because it's important for us to know. When you say that Copran took loans, how much loan in your records did Copran take? And how did you find out how much they had taken?
Okay, thank you. You see, Copran, as at 16th of September 2015, took a loan of about 200 and something million. Everything Copran took from the Nigerian Police Mortgage Bank PLC, it's about 507 something million, 573 million or thereabouts. Now, when you compound the interest, and whatever, I think the loan facility should be about 940 million. Now, Copran also went to the Nigerian Police Cooperative Society to take the sum of 330 million naira. As at 2021, the Nigerian Police Cooperative Society paid Copran 70 million naira. And I know as a fact that this money were diverted. This money were never put in the project. Because the money given to him by the police cooperative, for whatever it is worth, do you understand, was for him to use it to develop the barracks.
Has this loan been paid back from your investigation?
No. What they did is that they now went and adopted a power of attorney on the 8th of October 2018.
3 years after?
3 years after. Purportedly stating that the Nigerian police have handed over that land to Copran. So Copran removed his own properties that he surrendered initially, which is where he presently resides. Do you understand? As at then, those properties were Kakas. And the house next to it, he removed his own and now used the Nigerian police property, which ought not to be sold, to be collateral after the loan. The loan was given into.
Are you saying, was there a sharing formula between Copran and the Nigeria police as it affects those property? When you say he took the part of the police as collateral and not his own?
He took the entire land belonged to the Nigerian police.
Yes.
Now, as of 2018, on the 8th of October, they arranged the power of attorney, purportedly saying that the land had been ceded completely and absolutely, exclusively to Copran International Limited, a 1 million naira share capital.
So which one did they use for the collateral?
That's what I'm saying. Now, what it simply means is that it is the police land that was now used for collateral. Because Copran International Limited wrote to the bank, when the bank wrote him on the 24th of July 2018, that they want to recover their loan. What Copran now told them was that they should go and help him sell the properties in the estate. Do you understand? And recover their loan money.
So are you suggesting by any means that in this entire transaction, that Copran did not commit any money?
He did not. The people who developed the estate.
Because we are concluding.
So this is digital age, where the law has made it easy for us. If you spend 1 naira to be through the bank, just like the loan given to Copran, they collect police mortgage back to corporate account. When you check Copran account, you can also trace it. Where did that money go to? Is it to buy zinc, to buy block, or cement? But in this case, there are other subcontractors, off-takers.
Invariably, this is part one of this conversation, because the allegations that you have brought before us and before Nigerians are very weighty. And it would be very wrong if we just leave it at listening to you. So, in our program next week, we'll be extending invitations to Copran. We'll be extending invitation to the police mortgage bank. We'll be extending invitation to police authorities. And we'll be extending invitations to the Ministry of Police Affairs. If a law has been broken, we're interested in knowing who and how, and what sanctions are going to be meted out. But finally, gentlemen, and I'll ask you, now that you have not gotten a reply or a response from the presidency or EFCC, what are the next steps?
Well, the next step is that, like I said, I filed a suit in court. Now, I see some of this harassment, intimidation, and whatever to be a sign of distraction. As a lawyer, I'm a very busy person. I have a lot of matters to attend to in my firm.
So you have to pay attention to the court processes.
Yes.
So, gentlemen, I must thank you. Barrister Francis Mbo, thank you for coming. Barrister Donald Ariku, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Like I said, we are reaching out to all those involved or have been mentioned in this matter. And God willing, we'll be back next week.
I also appreciate it. FCDA can also be party to these people that you're inviting.
It's okay. I am Vin Martin Obiora Ilo. As usual, my pleasure. Let's do this again, same time on Sunday.